What? Oh, hello there. And welcome to Let's Review. Let's talk about the Bureau, X-Com Declassified. Sorry about that. Every time I start trying to talk about this game, I start suffering from bouts of narcolepsy. For those not in the know, the Bureau was an attempt to reboot a classic 90s strategy franchise as a first-person shooter. Yeah, this decision did not go over well with fans, and the backlash included a rather well-known clip of a well-known internet personality screaming the word betrayal. All the backlash caused a lot of changes behind the scenes, most notably a shift from first-person to third-person. And, in between the time when it was announced and when it was released, we actually got a completely separate XCOM game, XCOM Enemy Unknown, which was the reboot everybody had wanted. It was strategy focused, it could be brutally hard, and it was really well made and really fun. Unfortunately, they then released the Bureau. Okay, I appreciate they'd set a lot of money into it, so they had to do something with it, but let's just start with the gameplay. It's really boring. Yeah, it's never a good start, is it? The combat consists of a series of cover-based shootouts between you, some backup NPCs, and the aliens. And that's it. No matter what the enemy throw at you, every fight is the same. Lay down cover fire, move to flank, throw down the odd special ability, dead aliens, job done. There are a couple of nods to classic XCOM. There's a tactical overview that allows you to give your squad commands. And yeah, if one of your flunkies goes down, they can die permanently. But they won't. The reason for this is fairly simple. If one of your squad mates goes down, they start bleeding out. In the very unlikely chance that you don't get to them in time to revive them completely consequence-free, you just let yourself die, you reload the checkpoint, and both of your goons are back up on their feet. The combat mostly involves finding the enemy, hitting the pause button to bring up this tactical view. From here you can give orders, so for example I can move this guy over somewhere where I can find him to cover. There's lousy cover there, so I'm not even going to attempt to move him.
Get down! I'm in position!
But I can get him to, for example, send out a plasma field. This guy is the maximum level he can be, which is 5.
Plasma field, now!
So he's got all of his abilities. But the biggest problem is that this interface was not even slightly designed for a PC. This is a console interface with a vague semblance of PC coating, and it sucks.
Get me artillery!
It's really not designed for this. So yeah, so sending out artillery, plasma field over there, I'm going to throw out a drone. And here it's just pop, shoot, come. Laser burst rifle. The audio assets for this game, as you can hear, are okay. You know, there's some reasonably nice sound effects on some of the swanky alien guns. This in particular is a minor mission, so there won't be any stories for it here. But you know, and again, alien heads explode nicely when shot, which you know is always nice. But I'm finding it very hard to take any major enjoyment out of this. I mean, all I am doing is basically move, flank, shoot. And it's the same process over and over. It's grab cover, bring up the pause menu. I mean, these are basics. Yeah, and here he's just loitering back here when I want him following me. And I guarantee you at some other point, he'd wildly follow me when I've told him to do something else. There's a level of inconsistency in this game's design which just winds me up the wrong way. Go. I'm in position. And there's no research, by the way. Once you find the alien weapons, you know, you can just pick them up. Okay, that's a drop pod, which will just keep deploying waves of enemies until you destroy it.
Walk it
Smart
off.
thing to do is destroy it. Incidentally, I said the maximum level is 6. The maximum level for your companions is 6. Carter can go as high as 10. But I can't even remember if I actually achieved that in-game or not. And I did do all of the side missions, so I think I've reached it. Okay, so we've got a few of them here. So let's start by moving my commando up over here to provide me with some support. Let's have my recon guy use his cloaking ability, and then move up to grab a position. Is there a good flanking position around here? No decent flanking position, so I'm just going to have him move up here to support me, and I'm going to be the heroic lunatic and draw their fire.
Lifting.
Yep. Also, targeting specific enemies with specific powers can be a little dodgy sometimes.
Hit it
You
hard.
kill that sectoid commander. You plasma field.
Burn those bastards. Plasma
out.
field in progress.
I'm going to throw out a silicoid.
Throwing a blob. Take an aim.
And this is basically all you do for the entire game. And then there's little segments in between.
Going in.
Boom. Oh, and this is the other thing. When one of your squad members goes down,
He's gonna be fine.
I can either order them to do it or I can just do it myself. And he's now back up with absolutely no consequence. Oh, it's the blasting one for this one. There's my awesome weapon.
There go the shields.
Which is not the right gun for this job. Yes, that's the thing. As a
That's your
general rule of thumb,
target.
you are
Targeting.
a lot more competent than your squad
Take it
mates,
down. Copy.
but you do run out of ammo, and of course they don't. So occasionally you can run into problems. But
Take cover. Grenade.
yeah, this fight, I'm just going to call in an artillery strike and end it. So yeah, that is the combat, and
Bombardment now.
yeah, this looks reasonably enjoyable, and to be honest, it's not too bad until you've done it 500 times in a row with no kind of variation. Your two pet NPCs are taken from a pool of 4 classes, but there is absolutely no reason to swap them out. Once you find a combination that works for you, you'll just stick with it the entire game. I never changed out from my sniper commando combo, and there was no reason to. And the problem is, that's kind of it for the gameplay. While the tactical management stuff is fun for a little while, it starts to get dull fast, especially when you realise AI is so incompetent as to sprint straight into the middle of a firefight when you've told them to stay put, only to get mowed down. They're also wildly inconsistent as to whether they actually follow the orders you give them. So you give them an order to stay in place, and sometimes they will stay there when there's a muton breathing down their neck. And other times they'll break cover without orders and just get mowed down by plasma fire. If it was just one or the other, it wouldn't be as bad, but the inconsistency on this level is just annoying. There was also a massive missed opportunity to throw in some more classic old school XCOM by adding a research system, or, well, hell, anything at all to do at your base. This is XCOM's base of operations. You've got your boss, Myron Falk, over there. You've got some other minor characters. That's where you go to launch your missions. And honestly, that's about all you can actually do here. Here's the thing, the base has been designed reasonably well, there's lots of different segments, but there's no point going to any of them. For example, over here, we've got our agent roster screen, all of which can also be controlled from the mission launch screen. You've got these little recording things you can listen to, and I want to know who the hell bothered recording everything onto 8-bit tape. Not 8-bit tape, onto real tape. Yeah, you can practice your shooting here, but why would you when you can just do it in the missions? Agent selection again, but that's all done from the main screen. There's nothing to do in this base, which is a pity, given that, as I say, it's reasonably well designed. Bar the odd... and you've got a memorial wall here, which I'm assuming actually, that lists people who got killed. But again, there's not many people on it because, I just effectively save-scummed it because there was no point in not doing it. Then heading into the research block now. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. Yes, very thematic, but also very annoying.
once you've done it more than once or twice. And you've got your scientists, you've got this cool looking thing. But again, there's very little to do around here. We've got an alien captive over there. But because there's no research, there's nothing, you can't bring stuff back from the field, talk to the scientists about it. There's very little point actually wandering around the base. It basically just amounts to, okay, who do I have to go talk to? Let's go talk to them. Then let's go on to whatever mission it is. And that's about it. Massive wasted opportunity.
The biggest problem I have with the companion system is that the companions have no personality at all beyond the odd generic one-liner. And do you know what the biggest disappointment there is? The voice actors who play them include Brandon Keener and Brian Bloom. Garrus Vakarian and Varric Tethras are in this game, and they are given nothing to do. Look, if the squad mates actually had some personality, that would make me care if they were going to die. That would make the permadeath mechanic really interesting. But without that connection, I don't give a damn if they die. The reason I care is that the mission would be slightly more annoying if they did. So if the gameplay isn't up to much, can the story and the characters pull it back? The story makes no frickin' sense. Broadly speaking, it's your basic alien invasion story. But the big problem comes when the game repeatedly tells you that XCOM is covering up this alien invasion. How? I'm sorry, several small towns get destroyed, several thousand people get turned into zombies, a nuclear missile is launched, and the president is assassinated. You can't cover that up. And before anybody mentions the Kennedy assassination, I'd like to point out that this game is set in 62 and Kennedy was killed in 63. Which means either they were wheeling around a dummy for a year or somebody mucked up. And actually, while I'm thinking about it, why do aliens only ever attack America? The rest of the world is an equally tempting target, Over here in Britain, we don't have as many guns as you do. We'd be easier to invade. Oh my. Aliens. Oh, I really shouldn't perpetrate that national stereotype. I don't even drink tea. Look, anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, terrible story. The main character, William Carter, sounds like someone trying to do a Batman voice.
Where were the other drugs going?
Okay, not that Batman.
Some days you just can't get rid of a bomb.
Okay, not that Batman either. Look, imagine going up to a random passerby on the street and asking them to do you a Batman voice. That's what William Carter sounds like. Besides him, you've got a bunch of other characters whose names I can't even remember. There's your boss, some scientist bloke, and this female agent. None of them are even slightly fleshed out. None of them are particularly interesting, and as a result, when the game pulls the Mass Effect trick of making you pick one or the other to live and die, I didn't care. I pretty much just flipped a coin. The biggest problem, though, is that the game does genuinely have one really good twist in it. Unfortunately, it's been so badly set up to that point that when it comes, it's less of a, oh my god, and more of a, alright, so what? In a better game, that twist would have actually made me reassess what I'd done, probably even replay the game to look for the foreshadowing, the way, say, the infamous one from Bioshock did. But in this game, no. Like the gameplay, the story itself is full of missed opportunities. We should have been, overwhelmed by this alien invasion, slowly turning the tide, turning their own technology against them until we eventually gave them a swift proverbial kick in the bollocks. But despite the game's best efforts, you never feel like that's happening. And that's the story's biggest failing. It lacks soul, for want of a better word. It feels like the writers put in absolutely no effort and it gave the actors absolutely nothing to work with. It lacks the feel of something like Independence Day, that glorious sense of triumph that I think it really needed.
The graphics are fine. There's really not much I can say about them. The texture quality is sound and the character models are okay, and the enemy designs are pretty varied. There's a few issues around the lip syncing and facial expressions not quite matching up, but it's mostly on the minor characters and it's not really a big problem. Graphically speaking, the Bureau manages to be pretty dull and average, which, actually thinking about it, is a pretty good description of the entire experience. There are a few repeated character models, particularly some of the random soldiers around the base, but most of the time you probably won't notice it.
One question I do have though. What the hell happened to my battle fedora? I had it for like the first few missions and then it suddenly vanishes. Look, if you're not going to let me wear any type of body armor except for a suit, at least let me wear the battle fedora. Come on, I don't even wear hats and I want to own a fedora.
Frame rate wise, this game's oddly inconsistent. For much of the time it seems to be locked to the 30 frames per second, but on occasion it suddenly leaps much higher for a few moments before settling back down again to 30. Personally, I don't think a game of this graphical quality should need to be locked to 30, but if you do need to do it, you would expect it to be consistently locked to 30. And that's an inconsistency that mars a lot of the game's design, which I suppose is at least partially explained by the constant changes it went through to its rather troubled development. Though I will admit, that smoke effect is kinda pretty.
At the end of the day, I can't recommend the Bureau, not even at its current Steam price of about 15 quid. Maybe if you get it in a sale, but no, it's probably not worth the money unless you get it for less than a tenner. All I see in this game are missed opportunities. There was potential here for something much better, and frankly, they shot themselves in the foot the minute they named it XCOM. If they named it anything else at all and just said, we're taking inspiration from XCOM, then I think they would have had a much better time of it. People would have seen the original E3 demo and go, oh, that looks interesting. And they could have stuck to the original vision without having to worry. And I think we would have got a better game at the end of it. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to go cleanse my palate with a proper alien invasion story. I'll see you later.